right, Nick Castellanos it is. The artist, as they...
Plus, I have his tweet ready.
He calls himself, which is still weird. That's his nickname, though, apparently, according to Baseball Reference. Let's get into Nick Castellanos.
An F.
Oh, his grade as an artist?
Nickname. No, the nickname. I'm sorry.
I was like, damn, you're coming out with an F for Nick Castellanos?
His nickname gets an F.
All right,
sorry,
I'm going to go with a B+. I can be talked into a B. 162 games, I think that counts for something in the grade. It was a goal of his to do it. Not many Phillies players have ever done it. I think it's commendable. It's not like they had a better option or, like he's your right fielder. He was there every single game. That counts for something. Slash line at the end of the year, 254, 311, 431. An OPS plus of 106. Not great. 23 dingers on the year, 86 RBIs, 57 extra base hits, 30 of which of those were doubles, I believe. I'll have to check my notes again. 6 stolen places. He was one of only 4 players to play all 162 this year. The reason I'm a B+ or maybe a B by the end of this, you could certainly sway my grading, I think, by the end here, Renee.
Okay.
30 doubles on the year. His drop in hits was slight. A lot of his numbers were remarkably consistent. His hits did dip. His runs stayed consistent. His home runs and RBIs dipped. Batting average dipped from the year prior, that is. OBP stayed consistent. Slight dip in OPS plus. Now, while he ended up being, one of your more consistent guys, he kind of sunk himself a little bit there in the first 2 months of the season. Did a nice job rebounding, becoming a consistent guy. 30 doubles is nice. Would love to see that back up around last year's 37. If he got to 40, that would be really horny. It's fine. B+ is good. I think Nick Castellanos was good this year. Not great. Did a really nice job of salvaging a nosedive in the beginning of the season. So all in all, B+ can be talked into a B, but I'm right. What's that range, grade range? Like 88, 89?
Solid.
Yeah.
Super solid.
I'm giving him like an 88. 87 maybe, depending on if he's doing extra credit work at the end of the year. But we'll see. What do you got, Renee?
He did his extra credit work. And for me, I'm not going to give you the grade yet, but I will say it's different than yours. I am a little on a different space than you in terms of Nick Castellanos. Now, Nick Castellanos playing 162 games, as you mentioned. Incredible feat. The first time a Philly was able to do that since Jimmy Rollins did it in 2007. Freddie Galvis did it as well, but did not start all 162. Nick did start all 162, was DH in 5 games, was right fielder in the rest. And for him to have had the season that he did, where going into that final game of the 162, the final game of the regular season, was on a 9-game hitting streak, was 15 for 32 with a .469 batting average, and in that span had 3 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, and 5 RBIs, hit safely in 13 of the last 14 games, and September was his best month at a 292, 357, 494 slash line. After playing the entire season, yes, he struggled in the first going of the season, but following May 4th all the way through 128 games, which is nearly 80% of the season, he hit 30 doubles, 21 home runs, and had an .804 OPS, with a .273 average. He literally got better as the season went on, and he was a guy playing every game. It is so difficult to go every day in anything. Yeah. Work, whatever.
Sure.
And he was every day and getting better with every day. And one of the guys you can count on as Mr. Consistency. His numbers this season were remarkable in my opinion, because I think he took strides of having that consistency in terms of his overall just production. Not to mention, it was the timing of his hits, the timing of his RBIs, the timing of his walk-offs to help them win game 2. Nick Castellanos was the man that you could count on in big moments to help the Phillies win games. And because of the fact that he not only played so well in the regular season, but then in the postseason was able to score 2 runs, had 7 hits, a double, of course, had a home run as well in his 17 at-bats, including that walk-off that he had in game 2 to help them win the lone game of the NLDS. Nick Castellanos was one of the hearts and souls of this team. As much as people like to hate on him and dislike him and talk crap about him, I'm all in for Nick Castellanos. One of my favorite Phillies of the season because of his consistency. And to me, I don't mind you having a slow start to the season. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And because of that, Nick Castellanos gets A-.
Wow. All right.
And I almost was considering an A. He wasn't perfect, though. Nobody was. And like I've been mentioning, and I said this many times, everybody's grades got knocked down some pegs because they got knocked out in the NLDS. So he could have potentially been an A+ had they done a better job in the postseason. But I automatically subtracted points from everyone.
Even though
they all got
he
deductions.
Did regress some.
I know, it's crazy. He regressed.
Okay.
But
he is an interesting
He did regress statistically, but I think the fact that everybody was so bad and off at times in the second half of the season and definitely in the playoffs, and for Nick to be the one that continuously showed up, he easily could have been, oh, I'm tired, I've played every game, I'm not gonna show up today. But instead, he was one of the few bright spots that you had in the later stretch of the season that gave you hope, that was winning games. It was him, and it was the guys getting called up, the Cal Stevensons, the Cody Clemens, the Weston Wilsons. So, yeah, it's an A- for me, even though statistically it's a regression.
Wow.
In terms of moments.
Professor Ice Queen's heating up over here.
It's my hot tea.
Wow.
It's got me feeling warm and cozy today.
JP, how you feeling about Nick Castellanos' year that was?
Well, guess what, guys? I also have an A- as well.
Wow. I'm the
You're
top
the
grader
mean
in this
guy,
one? Wow.
Mr. Grinch. You know that song.
Listen, I understand the beginning part of the season. I understand it was a little bit of a regression year for him as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he overall was the most consistent hitter throughout the season. Renee also brought up the 162 games that he also played in the regular season, and he did contribute in the playoffs. Game 2 was big. Obviously, we know the Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos game, but also in the playoffs, man, has a knack for making some big-time catches as well. So
good point.
let's not forget, his glove is not the best, right? But he does make some big catches when needed. So, he's an A- for me.
All right.
I know in the
at
chat
that.
we've got some grades as well that I want to hit on in the chat. First of all, K-Red, thanks for the love. We missed Tyler also. He's out for this week, taking some PTO. He needs it. But as you guys are talking in the chat, Larry's Backyard Barbecue is giving Nick a B, but saying, according to his wife, in the looks department, he's an A.
Oh, Paige's, Miss Kelly, Paige and Skylar's teacher in preschool.
Yeah.
Nick Castellanos
Nick
can never be
Castellanos
less
is
than an A+
He's
in Miss
a good-looking
Kelly's
man.
book.
And as Mickey did remember, I love the things that everybody remembers. Nicky did remember, I dated him. I did date a guy that reminded me of Nick Castellanos, which is weird, though, because he's not white. He's a black guy, but he actually looks like Nick Castellanos. Nick's got darker features, and it's like really weird to me. I always think that's so odd when someone looks alike, but they're not even the same skin complexion.
Yeah.
But yes, I did date a brown skin doppelganger, a black
Steanos,
Nick.
a black Steanos. You see what I did there? That was pretty good, right? Eh?
I almost said something that was really inappropriate.
You guys can hear it,
I
but I do have.
because even when I said a black Nick, I'm like, let me make sure a black Nick.
Gotta emphasize that.
It's
It's an A there. Holy moly.
All right,
Sorry,
moving
Mom,
on.
Dad. Wait, more grades. As soon as I said that, I was like, holy crap. Let me clarify. Ari, what's up, Ari? Nice to see you, buddy. You're saying you have the same grade as me. Great minds do think alike. And yes, Gabriel's saying, I think we can all accept that Cassie is hot. And you're also mentioning his defense, his hair game. He's just all around.
His defense did get better here.
His defense did get better. He did have some walk-offs, and he did have some big catches in right field.
That big, was it Alex Coffey that wrote the big off-season story on like the R&D department and the changes that they made to it with like the analytical, and it talked about how, the R&D department with the Phillies changed his outfield positioning because they realized coming into the left on balls, he was better fielder than he was elsewhere. So they kind of, the Phillies did a nice job. He's never going to be a Gold Glove, 20 assist guy, but he did improve as an outfielder in his time in Philadelphia. So, just remember year one. It wasn't great, and he's made some strides.
He is an Iron Man, as you guys said in the chat. That's Nick. I know Ben Ace.
We all silly like the mayor.